Now, this is Newswatch 12 Special, Ducks versus Beavers.
Happy Thanksgiving and thanks for joining us for our Ducks versus Beavers special. I'm Madison Marie.
And I'm Peyton Manny. What a season it has been, and really we aren't even close to being done yet.
And this Saturday on College Football features a highly anticipated matchup, a matchup that's been around for centuries.
A state rivalry, the Oregon Ducks versus Oregon State Beavers. But before we dive into Saturday's matchup, let's talk about the history of this matchup.
There's so much history behind this matchup. It dates back to October 1st, 1894, when Oregon's mascot was the Lemon Yellows, and they arrived to Corvallis by a train.
Oregon State wasn't OSU at the time either. They were actually Oregon Agricultural College. But centuries in the making, the rivalry between Oregon and Oregon State has always been competitive.
The Ducks currently hold the upper hand over the Beavers with 66 wins, while Oregon State has 50, and they both accumulate 10 ties. And it's been in the Ducks' favor for the past few years.
Oregon has won 12 out of the past 14 games, and this year the Ducks are heading to the Dam, the hostile environment known as Reser Stadium. This matchup will be nothing short of exciting because both of these teams are unlike anything we've seen in the recent years.
Well, last year, these two teams met in Eugene. The Ducks were ranked number 22 at the time, and the Beavers were unranked, but it's nothing short than a tough game.
The Ducks had the lead heading into the half, but things quickly changed once both teams came out of the locker rooms after halftime. Last year was electric in Eugene. It was the first time in 2 years that Autzen Stadium sold out for a football game.
Oregon dominated on defense, and Oregon State struggled with turnovers as they seemed to face often.
It was difficult for the Beavers to get on their feet in the first half. They didn't score a single touchdown until the third quarter, while Oregon had already put up 3 heading into the half.
The atmosphere plays a big role for both teams. Obviously, the schools are so close in distance from each other that it makes it easier for fans to travel. But noise always plays a factor for any team.
Well, the city of Eugene witnessed the Ducks' 19th straight win at home last year as they defeated the Oregon State Beavers 38-29.
The Ducks put up over 500 yards of offense and held the Beavers to only 85 rushing yards. Ducks quarterback at the time, Anthony Brown, accounted for 3 touchdowns.
This win gave Oregon the push heading into their matchup against Utah for a chance at the Pac-12 championship, which ended with a Utah win.
And we'll start off with the Oregon Ducks. This year's team is something we haven't seen from Oregon in a long time.
Right, Maddie. New coach, new quarterback. Change brings greatness, right?
It does. Whatever works. Speaking of the new hardware, tell me a little bit about the new factors of this year's team, Peyton.
Yeah, let's do it. Well, Maddie, almost a year ago, Ducks former head coach Mario Cristobal announced that he was leaving the Oregon program to return to his hometown of Miami. He took a pay raise to become the University of Miami's head coach and declined Oregon's contract extension offer.
Cristobal was Oregon's 37th head coach in December of 2017. But after his decision was made, the hunt for the Ducks began, and the search didn't last long. Oregon announced that they had hired Georgia's defensive coordinator Dan Lanning as Oregon's head coach.
Lanning continued to coach at Georgia, and he helped the Bulldogs win the 2022 national championship title. But Lanning wasn't the only new addition to Eugene. The Ducks picked up an Auburn quarterback transfer, Bo Nix, from the transfer portal and quickly incorporated him into the offense.
You know, everything at that point was really advancing my career, moving up, looking for the next opportunity to go coach the best of the best. And once I got to Memphis, my wife got diagnosed with cancer, and it really reshaped my entire why. You know, I want to be a guy that helps people. Right? We're not here just to have championship football players. We're here to create championship fathers, championship husbands. How do you do that? You model it every day.
Yeah, well, why not Oregon? That's what I told a lot of people. Always have great talent, always well coached, and a good conference. And they're each and every year, they're always a team that you know can be in the college football playoff.
Well, Dan Lanning got to work quick as soon as he landed in Eugene. But in the days leading up to their first game, the Chick-fil-A Bowl against the national championship team and Lanning's former team, we had no idea who was going to start at quarterback.
Coach Lanning actually became so frustrated with the media asking him who his QB1 would be that he said, "It's not going to be me." Not sure if we ever thought of Lanning being in the pocket, but it was a clarification we didn't know we needed.
The world didn't know who was going to start at quarterback for the Oregon Ducks until the first offensive snap.
And surprise, surprise, it was the one and only Bo Nix behind the center. Nix struggled throughout this matchup to find his rhythm with the team.
That led to people assuming this was the same old Auburn Nix we'd seen in the past. But the powerful Georgia offense also ran over the Ducks D-line.
Oregon lost that game 49-3, and they finished with just 313 total yards that game, compared to Georgia's 571. And ever since then, it has been all about the bounce back for the Ducks.
That game was not an easy pill to swallow for Ducks fans. The anticipation heading into that matchup, especially with Lanning's knowledge of his former team and everything.
The good news is, though, the Ducks didn't hang their heads for too long. Matter of fact, Oregon was on the upward trend within a week at their first home opener of the season against Eastern Washington University.
A revenge tour is always a sweet one. The Ducks rebounded from their loss to Georgia with their 20th straight win at Autzen Stadium and their 18th straight victory in a home opener.
Nix threw for 277 yards and 5 touchdowns as the Ducks beat Eastern Washington 70-14. Nix looked more comfortable with his offense and seemed to know it a lot better than he did in Atlanta.
We started to see some weapons come alive like Terrence Ferguson and Noah Whittington this game.
Then the Ducks headed into another ranked matchup. The BYU Cougars were ranked 12th and sent shockwaves through college football, beating the 9th-ranked Baylor Bears the weekend before.
But the Ducks didn't let the talk get to them this time.
Oregon went on to beat the BYU Cougars 41-20, and Nix recorded 3 rushing touchdowns against the Cougs, making it the first in his career to fuel Oregon for the win. So make that two straight wins for the Ducks. They came off that week ready for anything, and anything, I mean any Pac-12 opponent they could find. And the Washington State Cougars were their first conference opponent.
Washington State's never easy, right? The Cougs came out hot and led up to the fourth quarter. But it was Oregon's 3 straight touchdowns in the fourth that gave the Ducks the 3-point win over the Cougars.
A very close call in Pullman, but the Ducks didn't have much time to reflect. They were back at home the following week taking on the Stanford Cardinal.
This is when Nix put on that leader hat. Nix finished the game with 4 touchdowns and former South Medford Panther Chase Cota cheering him into the end zone the whole way.
Oregon beat Stanford 45-27, and Nix's third quarter 80-yard touchdown run put the quarterback on the Heisman watch list from there on out.
So we're no longer watching Auburn Nix. Welcome Oregon Nix. The Ducks kept their heads high and traveled to the Arizona desert to take on the Wildcats.
Oregon entered this matchup ranked 12th in the AP polls. Noah Whittington was explosive this game. He had a 55-yard touchdown run, and Bucky Irving picked up a 22-yard end zone rush.
The Ducks beat Arizona 49-22 and recorded their 5th straight win of the season. So on to another ranked matchup for the Ducks and a highly anticipated one. This game against UCLA was spoken about on every channel.
College Game Day was even at this game in Eugene with the GOAT Sabrina Ionescu as their guest picker. UCLA's DTR was blowing up defenses like it was a cakewalk, and Nix was shocking the college football world that thought they knew him before.
But thanks to Oregon's Troy Franklin, the Ducks snapped the 9th-ranked Bruins undefeated record 45-30 and extended the Ducks' win streak at home to 23.
The Ducks then walked into Cal and scored 3 touchdowns in under 7 minutes in the first half. Oregon's offense rolled over the Golden Bears' defense on the road.
Nix finished his day off with 412 yards and 6 touchdowns through the air and on the ground. This game made him the 5th player with at least 20 touchdown passes and at least 10 touchdown runs in the first 8 games of the season, next to Pat Mahomes and Jalen Hurts.
It was no secret that the Ducks knew they had something special heading into their game against Colorado, but what better time than to try new things out?
Yeah, Peyton, the Ducks tested out some creative offensive plays against the Buffalo as Bucky Irving threw an 18-yard touchdown pass to Bo Nix to give Oregon the win.
The Ducks beat Colorado 49-10 and returned to Eugene with their 8th straight win of the season.
Time for the other Pacific Northwest team that always gives the Ducks a hard time. Oregon welcomed in the Washington Huskies to Autzen Stadium, and unfortunately this game came down to a last-minute kick.
Huskies quarterback Michael Penix Jr., the national leader in passing yards per game, threw for over 400 yards and 2 touchdowns to beat Oregon. The Ducks fell to Washington 37-34 and took their 2nd loss of the season.
And just last week, the Ducks faced another tough-ranked Pac-12 opponent in the Utah Utes. The Utes are just as hungry for a historic season as the Ducks are, so this matchup was anything short of a challenge.
Bo Nix returned from his injury, even though there were questions surrounding if he would play. And the Ducks beat the Utes 20-17 and hold on to their 8-2 record. We just walked you through every single Oregon game this season, but we're only getting started. When we return, we'll recap the Beavers season, and coming up later tonight, a preview into this weekend's games. We'll be right back. You're watching the Ducks versus Beavers special.
Closed captioning is provided as a public service on Newswatch 12.
Say hi to Seiko, a long-time and frequent Grover customer. Seiko likes the fact that she can bring in a photo on her mobile phone to show problem. A Grover customer service rep will help her diagnose the issue, show her solutions, price ranges, and how to fix it. Sound like the kind of store you'd like to shop for your plumbing and electrical supplies? Welcome aboard. Grover Electric and Plumbing. We'd be proud to have you call it your store. For a Grover location near you, visit groverelectric.com.
The savings continue at Bi-Mart with our latest savings book, out now. There's 16 pages packed full of store-wide savings, including Halloween candy, pantry essentials, pet supplies, electronics, and more. Plus, don't forget to see if you're a winner on Lucky Number Tuesday. The savings continue with our latest savings book and Lucky Number Tuesday, only at Bi-Mart, where your membership matters.
At Lazy Boy Furniture Galleries, you'll find solutions in sizes from chairs to love seats to sofas to sectionals. So you'll have a well-designed family room, no matter what size your family is. Don't miss the Black Friday sale at Lazy Boy. For a limited time only, you can save up to 25% store-wide. Plus, you'll get 0% interest until January 2027. Lazy Boy Furniture Galleries. Live life comfortably.
Hi, I'm the SOS Alarm guy, here to tell you about a great deal. SOS Alarm will not only beat any internet deal, but will install the system too. So burglars, beware. SOS Alarm for security and beyond.
At OregonHealthcare.gov, you can find financial help to make your health coverage more affordable. The average Oregonian saves $483 per month. Last year, over 79% of people who signed up received financial help. Go to OregonHealthcare.gov today.
Welcome back to Newswatch 12 Special, Ducks versus Beavers.
Welcome back. We just recapped every Oregon game this season, so I think it's time we dive into Oregon State.
I agree, Peyton. The Oregon State Beavers made a bowl appearance last season for the first time since 2013, and they were looking to keep that streak alive this season.
We start with Boise State in Corvallis.
The Beavers opened their season up at home against the Broncos. We already knew Chance Nolan was starting quarterback, but there was question marks around this year's team.
And Nolan turned those question marks into exclamation marks very quickly. Nolan was 14 of 23 for 251 yards with 2 touchdowns and 2 interceptions, while the Oregon State defense forced 5 turnovers to beat Boise State 34-17, earning their first win of the season.
The Beavers had to prepare for the heat out at Fresno State, and it got heated. Not just the weather, but the game came down to the wire.
What started off as the Beavs ball game ended with what was supposed to be a game-tying field goal, but head coach Jonathan Smith called a timeout. He told his players to go for it, and sure enough, Jack Coletto's end zone appearance won the Beavers the game 35-32. Oregon State's now 2-0 heading into Montana State. This game was a little different for both teams because they played at a neutral site, the Portland Timbers Arena in Portland. And the Beavers dominated the Bobcats until the end. Chance Nolan threw for over 270 yards with 4 touchdowns. With the help of Deshaun Fenwick and Trayshawn Harrison, the Beavers won their 3rd straight game with a statement score of 68-28.
The Beavs opened conference play with the USC Trojans in Corvallis, hoping to go 4-0 for the first time since 2012. USC was ranked 7th in the AP polls entering this game, and it was the first ranked opponent for the Beavs this season.
It wasn't a strong game for either team. The Beavs didn't look like a team who just dropped 60-plus points the previous week, but neither did the Trojans. Caleb Williams and the Trojans were unstoppable, handing Oregon State their first loss 17-14.
Following the Trojans, the Beavers' schedule was only going to get harder. They had to quickly bounce back from the loss to Lincoln Riley and prepare for the reigning Pac-12 champs.
The Utah Utes bring the pressure every year, and coming into this matchup, Utah was ranked 12th in college football, so that means it was the second straight ranked opponent for the Beavers.
Well, it was a difficult one for the Beavers. Cameron Rising threw for almost 200 yards with 3 touchdowns, while Utah's defense forced 4 turnovers from the Beavers' offense. It was the first time the Utes had done that since 2016.
Chance Nolan left the game early due to a neck strain, so backup QB Ben Gulbranson was thrown into the game, having to quickly adjust to being the leader of the team. But he wasn't able to get it done, and the Beavers fell to Utah 42-16.
The Beavs were now 3-2 with only 1 win in Pac play, with a backup quarterback as a starter.
And Stanford had not won a game before facing the Beavers. Ben Gulbranson came alive on offense and threw a 56-yard touchdown pass to Trayshawn Harrison with only 13 seconds remaining in the game.
Oregon State came back from a 14-point deficit to beat the Cardinal by 1 point, 28-27. Gulbranson said it was his 4th down touchdown pass to Bolden that really got the team ready to fight.
The Beavs headed back to Corvallis to take on the Washington State Cougars. They relied heavily on the run game, rushing for 203 total yards. The Wazoo defense had no answer for the Beavs on the ground.
It was the jackhammer Jack Coletto's 2 short touchdowns that pushed the Beavers over to grab the win from Washington State. The Beavers rushed for over 200 yards and proved that they were a force to be reckoned with in the air and on the ground as they beat the Cougs 24-10.
The Beavers were now on a 2-game win streak and ready to extend it against the 1-6 Colorado Buffaloes.
This matchup is when we saw the rise of true freshman Damian Martinez. Martinez ran for a career high of 178 yards and 3 touchdowns to help lead the Beavers to a victory.
With the 42-9 win over Colorado, Oregon State was now bowl eligible for the 2nd year in a row after breaking a 7-year hiatus.
The Beavers had a road trip following the Colorado win and traveled north to take on the Huskies. Oregon State, the now 23rd ranked team in the nation, faced more than just a tough Washington team. They battled against strong winds at Husky Stadium.
The Huskies took over in the final 4 minutes to push past the Beavers D-line and knock off Oregon State 24-21. Michael Penix Jr. continued to hold his honor of leader in passing yards per game amongst the entire college football world, going 30 of 52 for 298 yards.
The Beavers lost their rankings and stayed home the following week, welcoming in the Cal Bears.
The Bears were coming off a loss to USC, but they scored 35 points in that game. But the Beavers were able to hold Cal to only 160 total yards and didn't allow 1 offensive touchdown.
Talk about defense stepping up to the plate. Oregon State beat Cal 38-10. This victory marked their 10 out of 11 wins at home.
And just last week, the Beavers took another win home to Corvallis against the Arizona Sun Devils. The Beavs depended on their true freshman Damian Martinez to help lead them to a victory.
Oregon State beat ASU 31-7, and Martinez 138 rushing yards along with 2 touchdowns bumped the Beavers' record to 8-3 and gave the team confidence heading into this weekend's huge matchup.
So the Beavers shoot back up in the rankings and now have a national attention, especially with College Football Playoff Committee putting them in the top 25.
Ben Gulbranson stepping up and taking control of the offense in the middle of the season took a turn for the better. Oregon State, check. Now that we've got you caught up on both teams' season, let's break down this weekend's matchup by offense and defense. We'll have that and more coming up. Stick around.
Closed captioning is provided as a public service on Newswatch 12. This business showcase is presented by Chadwick's Pub and Grill.
What makes Chadwick's unique is that we offer a variety of different things for people to eat on our food menu. Our drinks are excellent. We have comedy night Friday and Saturday, and we also have free pool, shuffleboard, and a beautiful patio out in the back for you to enjoy. Chadwick started in 1989. It's got a Scottish theme to really represent the owner's heritage and has the plaid walls, the plaid floors. We're right off the interstate here, and they've been going strong for about 24 years now. And it's one of the biggest hotels in the valley. When you come to Chadwick's, you can expect to see some of your favorite sporting events on all of our TVs. We've got 14 different HD TVs, all putting different sports out whenever we can, NHL, MLB, basketball, and the NFL. We also offer some of the most creative and diverse items in a pub. You'll see it in all the valley. We just launched an entirely new menu, so anybody that's been here in the past few years won't see anything they recognize. One of my personal favorites is our Italian sausage and kale pasta. It's an entirely dairy-free dish, but it comes with tons of flavor and lots of beautiful colors. One of our top sellers is our steak au poivre with frites. It's a beautiful tender steak cut into medallions with a cognac peppercorn sauce. Our house burger, the Chadwick's Own, is probably one of our biggest sellers as well, with our famous prime rib tossed in my barbecue sauce with some crispy onions and our garlic aioli and smoked white cheddar cheese. Here at Chadwick's Pub and Grill, we're open from 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. Sunday through Thursday. Friday and Saturday we're open till 11, serving breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Our happy hour is from 4 p.m. to 6:30 p.m. Well, I really hope after you come and enjoy your experience at Chadwick's that you walk away with a good taste in your mouth, that you come back and want something craveable and delicious, and that you bring your friends for a good time and some good food.
Welcome back to Newswatch 12 Special, Ducks versus Beavers.
Welcome back to the Ducks versus Beavers special. So now that we recapped every game from the season leading up to this matchup,
let's see what threats the Ducks and the Beavers have on offense and how their defenses have been able to shut down their opponents.
Starting off with the Ducks, Oregon's offense is averaging 42.2 points per game. They're outrunning the majority of their opponents this season as well. The Ducks rank 9th in college football for rushing offense.
While players like Bucky Irving and Noah Whittington have played factors in the run game. Irving is averaging around 83 yards on the ground per game, while Whittington is right behind him with 61.
The Beavers' offensive line has faced adversity this season, especially with Chance Nolan being out with an injury, but Ben Gulbranson stepped in and has done well. In 5 starts, he has thrown for 817 yards with 7 touchdowns, 1 interception, and even added in a rushing touchdown against Cal.
Oregon State is a big believer in a run-first offense. Multifunctional players like Jack Coletto allow the Beavers to have trust in their offensive line.
While both the Ducks and the Beavers have proved that what they can do on offense, it doesn't matter how many points the O can put up if the defense can't get a stop.
We've heard time and time again that defenses can win games, and while it may or may not be true in some instances, the Ducks and Beavers sure know how to use their D-line to the team's advantage.
Starting with the Ducks, Oregon's defense has done exceptionally well this season besides their 2 losses to Georgia and Washington. But in every game they have won, the defense has been able to shut down both the run game and the passing game. And defensive back Christian Gonzalez is the leading man on defense with 34 solo tackles this season.
And the Oregon's defense has allowed only around 107 rushing yards per game, which currently ranks 15th in the nation. But let's not forget about Oregon State's defense. They have one of the strongest defenses in the Pac-12, especially when they're in Reser Stadium. Since 2000, the Beavers have allowed fewer than 160 yards only 6 times in Pac play.
They have also faced injuries, but their depth chart allows for Oregon State to be able to rely on the next man up.
Both teams check out on both sides of the ball.
Right, Maddie, they do. Oregon's strong offense is going to have to prepare for the Beavers' tough to break defensive line.
Regardless, we're going to see big players and big matchups from both of these teams.
Coming up, we'll give you an overall look into this weekend's matchup and let you know what to look for. Stick with us. You're watching the Ducks versus Beavers special.
Closed captioning is provided as a public service on Newswatch 12.
The MDX, a new era of premium performance.
Visit Butler Acura for attractive offers on the MDX. Biggest problem with Black Friday, I think, is having to wake up stupid early with a belly full of turkey. So at Garrison's, we don't do that. Our Black Friday is a Black Friday weekend. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, regular hours, and it's one of the best deals ever. 2 years interest-free financing and 25% off. And this is at all Garrison's locations. Garrison's Home, Garrison's Sleep if you need a new mattress, and Garrison's Warehouse Clearance Center where we have phenomenal deals. The Black Friday weekend at Garrison's, it's everywhere and it's all weekend long. Don't miss out on this great deal.
Bring life and relaxation to your backyard with Wishing Well. We have all your pond and garden needs, including custom-drilled rock features, koi, water plants, and pond maintenance products. Come inside to shop for indoor plants, home and garden decor, or even a fun gift for someone special. Family-owned and pet-friendly for 4 generations. Located across from Lithia and Driveway Fields, between Medford and Phoenix. Come visit Wishing Well today.
Our landscape is changing. Trees are dying at a striking rate, and wildfire is an ever-present danger. With a combined 30 years in wildland fire experience, the team at Salamander Tree Service is well suited to help you fire harden your property. Serving the entire Rogue Valley from single tree to small woodland, we're stewards of the wildland-urban interface and builders of fire-wise communities, so you can live where you love. Salamander Tree Service.
MDX, a new era of premium performance.
Visit Butler Acura for attractive offers on the MDX.
Welcome back to Newswatch 12 Special, Ducks versus Beavers.
Well, we've recapped every Oregon and Oregon State game, broke down both teams' defense and offense. So what's next, Peyton?
Well, let's talk about this matchup. Overall, the game is at Reser Stadium this year, and tickets were sold out at the very beginning of the season. Bo Nix leads the starting quarterback stats for this matchup. He has over 2,700 passing yards and more than 24 touchdowns on the year. And Oregon State's true freshman Damian Martinez is close to matching Bucky Irving's rushing yards for the season. Both teams have lost one game in their last 5 matchups, and that loss belongs to the Washington Huskies. Oregon's offense is scoring more points per game, but the Ducks are also giving up 6 more points each game than the Beavers. But the Beavers might have a chance if they stick around to the passing game, given that the Ducks' defensive leader is a lot harder to break on the ground than in the air. Throughout the season, both the Ducks and the Beavers have found themselves in the rankings. Oregon has bounced in and out of the top 10, while the Beavers have battled with staying in the top 25. And the stage is set for Saturday's matchup at Reser Stadium. Will Bo Nix and the Oregon Ducks take the win for the 2nd year in a row, or will the Oregon State Beavers find a way to stop Nix and win at home? This will be a great matchup, and you don't want to miss this. I know Peyton and I won't be missing this. We'll be watching, and we'll make sure you get to see it as well. Thank you for joining us for Newswatch 12 Sports Ducks versus Beavers special. We hope that you will join us this Saturday for college football game night for the updated scores and highlights for Saturday's games, and of course this matchup between the Ducks and the Beavers. Have a great night and happy Thanksgiving.